so much. I love you so much. I love you so much. I love you so much.
Hello, all you positive heads out there. Thanks for tuning your beautiful brainwaves into another episode of the Positive Head Podcast, where we are firmly convinced that creating success and happiness is rooted in understanding the ultimate nature of reality and the fact that as human beings, we are all immensely powerful fractals of the one and only source consciousness, which creates and animates all things. Now, of course, understanding this powerful truth is one thing. Applying this incredibly empowering wisdom to everyday life, well, that's another, which is exactly why we provide you with a fresh serving of soul food for thought 5 days a week to help constantly remind you of what matters most. You are it. And I'm your host, Brandon Beecham. I'm the reflection and extension of you who will be here each Wednesday interviewing a different consciousness changemaker. And on the other 4 weekdays, leading the way to ensure that your perspective is consistently expanded, your vibration is constantly elevated, and your heart is overflowing and full. And you guys have heard me say that if I ever run ads on the show, it will only be with a company that I fully support because I believe their intention is to make a positive difference in the world. Well, I'm pleased to announce that day has arrived and that this episode of the Positive Head Podcast is being brought to you thanks to the support of Gaia. If you're not familiar, Gaia is the go-to source for streaming consciousness content online. And you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. Check it out. All right, all you positive heads. On this week's interview episode, I'm very excited to have Belinda Womack here with me on the show. Belinda is a scientist, author, and spiritual counselor who channels archangelic wisdom to support individuals, couples, and families. Hey there, Belinda. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me today, Brandon.
Oh, I'm very excited to dig in and pick your brain. This is, I think this is the first time I have had someone who does specifically what you're doing, the wonderful work that you're doing for the planet. And yeah, it should be exciting and interesting. And before I dig in, I would like to start off asking you the same question I start off everyone with. You're in an elevator. You have 10 floors to answer. The woman next to you looks over, says, "What's your passion?" What do you say?
Love.
Well, now you have 9 floors left. that is, you know what? My favorite quote is, "Love is the answer." Now, what was the question? So you handled that perfectly. I cannot argue. So why don't you, Belinda, start off with telling us a little bit about your story? You have a fascinating story as a scientist doing stem cell research, and you had a pretty fascinating experience that we'd love to hear a little bit about.
Well, so Brandon, this is quite a number of years ago now. It seems like it's a whole nother lifetime, but I was just working in the hood doing a regular bone marrow sample preparation for an experiment when I had what I call my out-of-laboratory experience. I was visited, for real, I was visited by Archangel Gabriel. So what happened is I was just holding the syringe in one hand and my sample in the other. Under a sterile hood. And the next thing I knew, I was in a stone room. There was it was a round room. It was an ancient room. It was a dirt floor. I remember thinking, how can I be on a dirt floor? I'm supposed to be doing sterile technique. Wow. So there was a beautiful light that just streamed in through the ceiling, and there was an angel that appeared. And they made it very easy for me to recognize the angel because the angel really showed up like you might think an angel would look, with wings and beautiful colors and a trumpet. That kind of clued me in that it was Gabriel. And the archangel just spoke to me telepathically, but very clearly, and said, "Belinda, we've come to call you to a different kind of work. We need you to help humanity to remember that they are God's divine children." And I remember saying, I think you've called the wrong person. I'm a biologist. I'm not sure I'm allowed to believe in angels, but by the way, I do believe in angels, and sounds like I need a psychology degree for this. And so basically, Brandon, I was just trying to talk myself out of it. And Gabriel said, well, we're calling you, and you can try and resist, but we suspect you will surrender.
Right.
So then the angel just said, we just need you to understand what's in this book. And I was like, book? Now I've learned a lot about what they mean by books, by the way. But so I turned my head to the left, and on a huge stone table was a gigantic book. The book opened up, and in that book was the word love in red fire letters. And I said, okay, so I can learn what it means to love. I get that. And flash forward over 25 years, I now understand that even that book was a metaphor, because it means the human subconscious, where we store our beliefs. The angels always give us that as a metaphor of a book, and that's where we need to bring the love so that we can be free. So in a short story, that's what happened, and that's my drafting by the angels.
Wow. So you were then propelled back into the lab and probably wondering what the heck just happened to me. Had you had any sort of experience like that before? I mean, had you had any sort of, spiritual type, experience, or was this sort of the very first thing, and you were thrown into the fire, so to speak, head first?
Well, it was the first experience for a very long time since I was a child. I have to tell you that. Okay. And I really thought I was in that stone room for at least a day, and I looked at my watch, and not even a minute had gone by. So that was, it was quite. It was really something. So yes, but I definitely could see angels and guides and know things when I was a child. It got me in all kinds of trouble, but that pretty much shut down. That shut down for a long time.
And so this was sort of the beginning for you of making contact with the archangels. Is that correct? And since then, it's been just an ongoing thing.
Yeah. Yep. You got that right.
So did it just from that point forward, was it sort of a regular ongoing update of here's, the assignments? I mean, did they give you specific assignments? Did they leave it up to you to figure out what has been the ongoing interaction since that point?
So my first angel that I met was Gabriel. The second angel that I met was Archangel Michael. When my eyes were open and my room filled, I was in my bedroom, my room filled with these huge blue eyes looking at me, and that was a little bit spooky. So then I gradually got to meet the rest of the team, and the number 12 is symbolic, of course. It means a cycle. It means evolution. It means how we continue to journey through our lives, right? There are 12 signs of the zodiac, 12 hours on clock face. So that's how I met them. And then I floundered for quite some time, being totally confused. What does it mean to work for angels? I left my position at the lab a few months after I got drafted. And then it dawned on me, I need to ask them, what do you want me to do? And that's really what I want to share. Is it's really helpful to say, angels, what do you want me to do? And then they asked me to channel a little material and writing and teach a class, and that's kind of how it all got started.
Wow. So there are obviously 12. Can you explain, who these 12 archangels are, sort of what the what the difference is? I mean, I know that's a lot of personalities to probably cover, but in a very sort of Cliff Notes version, maybe give us some insight into who these 12 archangels are and what are the purpose that they serve or differences.
Well, so they work together as a team, Brandon, and so they say most people have heard of the celebrity names, right? Gabriel, Michael,
right,
Raphael, and Metatron. But their main message is, hey, just work with us as a team, work with us as a group. Their story is they were called by the Creator to create a school called Schoolroom Earth, where souls can come and experience the opposite of love, which is fear, and all of the vibrations in between, so that we get to experience the incredible power of love, the value of love, and we get to learn to appreciate love. So it's a school that we travel through, sometimes many, 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 many times. But so that they are our mentors, they are our teachers, they are also the same. Their other personalities are the planets in our solar system. That is also how they help us. So, for example, Archangel Michael is the same as the good old Lord of Karma, Saturn. And anybody that's ever had a Saturn return knows the power of what Michael does when he is transiting through our natal chart. So they work with us in many, many different ways. But again, their main mission is to help us to remember where we come from, right? That we're all children of the Creator, and that we are truly incredibly powerful, which I know, of course, is something that you also know to be true. So,
wow, what a fascinating journey. I had an experience where I was reading a book called, you may be familiar with it, called The Messengers, and it was, it's a story of an individual who started remembering a past life, supposedly as I believe it was Paul the Apostle, and in a past life regression experience. And my friend is connected to the individual who wrote it, and he's telling me all about it. So, I read it, and then it was a very fascinating book, and it sort of gives like this individual's firsthand experience being around Jesus, sort of, under past life regression, and what it was like, and what he was really like, and what he was saying and doing, and I'm very open to all of this. I'm not saying he was Paul the Apostle. I'm not saying he wasn't, but the story was fascinating. And I was telling my friend all about it, and, how he would have a lot of experiences with angelic entities during the course of remembering some of this information from his supposed past life. And a lot of times he would wake up at, I guess, 4:44 was supposedly the angelic frequency, and he would wake up at 4:44 with all these downloads of information, and throughout the book. And as I'm telling my a friend about it, and I'm like, yeah, and one of the ways they would communicate was through like electronic devices or so forth. As I'm recounting what I just read to my friend at like midnight one night, as soon as I say that, the alarm in my house goes off, and I'm like, oh, wow, okay. And then we were up like all night this night. It was like 4 a.m. A few hours later, someone tags me online with something about angels. And I'm like, oh, look, what a coincidence, right? Or synchronicity. This person tagged me about angels. As I say this to my friend again, the alarm goes off again. So that was sort of my first direct experience with any of that sort of energy. And, so I guess a question for you is this something, obviously your experience is very direct and very dramatic, if you will, right? The giant blue eyes or appearing in another room with this being with a trumpet and wings. Can anyone, do you believe anyone can open up and have some level of experience with the archangels? Absolutely.
Of course, their whole kind of philosophy is we're here for you. We're here to support you getting through this school, and and that they mean each of us individually, and of course all of us collectively. So,
right.
they're available. They're on call 24/7, and
Right.
so some people ask sometimes, hey, so do you have to believe in angels for them to help you? And no, they're going to help all the time. It's all about consciousness, right? It's that, hey, the more open your mind is and the more focused you are, that you want to connect to that highest vibration of love, then that's what's going to make it easier for you to remember to ask for help. And that's the best way to connect with angels, is just to say, thank you for
Right.
helping me.
Put it out there and open yourself up. How are angels different than humans or spirit guides? Or can you sort of give the difference in these different entities?
So sure, they just have a bit of a different mission. So, you talked about Master Jesus. So that's according to the angels, that's an ascended master and a teacher, and so also on the faculty, right, of Schoolroom Earth.
Right.
Angels are very musical. They work with music to help us and to support us, and they work with that with the sound. Not that they don't work with the light, but from their perspective, sound is the feminine, or from the Divine Mother. The light is from the Divine Masculine. And of course, sound and light create love. That's that masculine and feminine that creates that oneness. So, they are more musical. And that's why when you call on, everybody can call on Archangel Michael, for example, at the same time. It's just like taking the sound and raising the volume. And that's the way angels work, is that, that's why there are multitudes of angels. And so the spirit guides, sometimes they're angelic and sometimes they are more of a teacher vibration or frequency. Then we have our loved ones and our ancestors. And but again, the 12 archangels teach, don't get caught up in how we're different. Work with us in that oneness of love to experience how we can really help you. You want to have a happier life. You want to have a better life, and you want to feel better within your human bones, your human cells. Then let all of us help you. So I kind of group everybody together, Brandon, and I call them, my helpers in heaven. Makes it easy.
Beautiful. Yeah, right. Very good. So tell us, is there any sort of angel hierarchy? I mean, is there a difference between an archangel and a regular angel? Is that, I know you just said you kind of group them all together, but I am curious in any sort of subtle differences in these entities.
Okay. So what the angels say is that hierarchy and creating differentiation and separation, that's a human thing. That's something we do here. From their perspective, they have different jobs, just like we might have different, or different passions. They really prefer that. They just corrected me. So from their perspective, the nature angels have a passion to create, right? The Deva angels have a passion to design. The archangels, what the arc means is that they build bridges between heaven and earth. They build bridges in consciousness. So that's why they have arc in their name, right? They're connectors. And guardian angels, they're the protectors. They help the soul to connect with the ego and kind of steer the cart in the right way. So again, from their perspective, from their angle, from their vision, no, there's no hierarchy, because they all work with the power of love. And the power of love is the greatest power there is. So no, there is not one angel that is more powerful than another, but they do have different passions, just like human beings.
Interesting. Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense to me. And so is it safe to say then some humans may be more connected? For example, if someone's name is Gabrielle, maybe they're more connected to Archangel Gabriel, or is that Is that a safe assumption, or is that just me connecting dots that maybe aren't supposed to be connected?
Well, Brandon, how the angels respond to that is they say that, names are designed. We actually pick the names that we want to be called before we're born, and we work with our parents. So if we're given the name of Gabriel or Michael or Ariel, an angelic name, then either we already have an affinity with that angel's vibration or teaching, or that's something that we need to allow ourselves to experience in this incarnation.
Interesting. Okay, that makes sense. Well, I'd love to. You wrote a book recently, within the last 2 years? Lessons from the 12 Archangels, correct?
Yes, I sure did.
I'd love to maybe get the Cliff Notes version of what those lessons are. Not having read the book, I'm sure the audience, some may have read it, but if not, I'm sure some will now. I know I'm very interested to read it, but I would love to learn a little bit about that, whatever you'd care to share.
Okay, so the book, Lessons from the 12 Archangels, Divine Intervention in Daily Life, is channeled. So that means that even when Belinda opens the book, I don't remember reading those words. So to me,
wow.
my personal experience is that this book is alive. And I use it personally. I really do use it daily. I will ask the angels a question. I'll open the book. I'll read where my eyes hit the page, and it's like, I'm just always blown out of the water with
right.
exactly how I am helped. So it's a very easy book to read, and it has 6 kind of upfront chapters called books, which get into the nitty gritty of how Schoolroom Earth was designed, its purpose, kind of how we work with the energies of our chakras, and how we work with the colors of light and sound of divine love to really facilitate deep subconscious transformation. They teach us how we human beings, nothing new to Brandon and Positive Head, that we create our reality. We dream it into being with our thoughts, our beliefs, our feelings, our memories. But up to 90% of this is often locked in the subconscious. And so they give us very easy, beautiful tools, simple as a child could use, to unlock that subconscious and let it go, to forgive it, to bring forgiveness where forgiveness has been missing. Forgiveness is a power that really does set us free. So that's the first part. And then the second part of the book is 48 messages that you can just really use for everyday life. Everything from parenting to, bringing in love, and how to clear your mind, and how to help support our changing world, and how to communicate with angels. So it's all in there. And so that's, again, Cliff Notes version of Lessons from the 12 Archangels.
Beautiful. Well, that sounds absolutely fascinating and like a beautiful read, and I look forward to checking that out. When you communicate with them, I'm curious, what is your process? How do you communicate with them, and how often?
So I feel that I'm pretty plugged in with these beautiful beings, and again, my helpers in heaven. Full time. When I'm not plugged in, I feel a discomfort. I feel kind of like an anxiety, and actually like I'm not grounded. For me, I find that that angels and guides in heaven that, again, operate on that pure vibration of love, they make good common sense. They're very logical, practical, give very clear direction. They are just present. So let me try and be a little bit more specific. So I am clairvoyant, which means I see, right? I see images, I see visions. I am clairsentient, which is where I feel things, and have clairgnosis, which is when I know. The main way that I experience angels would be through those 3 things.
Okay.
Which is that it comes through as a knowing, a very clear knowing that is unshakable. And
interesting.
often they will also send me a vision that is, then I have to figure out what the message is from that. But then as I discern that, then I feel that. And truth is something we can feel in our backbones, according to the angels. So, when you're really connected, you can feel that. So if you, for example, if you would like me to channel a message for your audience, I'm totally happy to do that. I just
that would be lovely.
I just move out of their way. So if you have a question, whether that's now or sometime during our interview, by all means, just say, okay, I've got a question for the angels. Okay.
Well, no time better than the present, and I love the idea of communicating with the angels. Obviously, who wouldn't? So, yeah, what would my question for the angels would be? Well, what would be the most pertinent question? What question should I ask? Is my question for the angels.
We thank you for that question, Brandon. We thank you. The question that we would like you to ask is, how can you help me? How can you help my life feel better? How can you help me move out of anxiety, depression, lack, just the feeling that, hey, this doesn't feel very heavenly here. You sure this isn't something called hell? And our answer to that is, bring love into your vessel. Bring love where it has been missing. Human beings are so powerful. They're so incredibly beautiful. But what they do not understand is because there is fear here, and fear is sort of like cement. It can really weigh you down. Is that you need to let divine love in to find that cement in you, that fear, those fearful beliefs, those fearful memories, whether it's from a past life or brought in from your ancestry or something you experienced that was hurtful in your childhood. We invite you to let the love in, to find that pain, that suffering. It will transform it. And then, because of the way you are designed, when you change something within you in this moment, your future changes for the better. So in this moment, you carry your past. And if that past is heavy or laden with disappointment, bring love into that disappointment. And guess what? Tomorrow, you will no longer have that disappointment. It is simple. Yet, it does require a surrendering on your part, on the human part, to say, you know what? I surrender. I let the love in. That is our answer.
So beautiful and profound. Thank you so much for sharing that. Another question that I would have is pertaining to the state of the planet. There's so much sort of upheaval, so much dichotomy, so much light that seems to be coming in, but so much darkness that is also amplifying. And a lot of people, of course, are very pessimistic about what's to come next. Is there any insight that the angels could share in regards to creating the future that we all wish to see?
Our message to humanity and to Schoolroom Earth is that this is a purging time. This is a time where the collective subconscious is going through a release of the old fear, the old fearful beliefs, and separation. Where men believe that they are separate from one another, where they feel that they are separate from women or from their own feminine. This is a powerful time of transformation and a powerful time of purging. So we say to you individually and again collectively, that whatever one of you chooses to do, meaning to bring love into your own past, that helps your earth your entire school to shift, to move into the love of the Creator. So we want to talk to you for a quick moment about the color purple. So in your crown chakra, or your battery of spiritual energy, these batteries are your gift that the Creator has given you here in your human vessel to your coat of many colors, to connect with and to facilitate transformation and change. So that energy of your crown chakra, which is created from both your root, which is where the Divine Mother holds you to this earth. It is a ruby red. And your will to trust, your will to be courageous in your throat chakra. We put those colors together and we create purple or violet. And this is the energy of forgiveness. And where you bring forgiveness into your past, you open to liberation, to transformation, and to incredible joy. So take those memories from your past and put them in the color purple. Soak them in beautiful violet and say inside, I forgive. I allow the energy of forgiveness to go within my vessel and to find those stories within me that feel so unforgivable. And I choose to forgive. And watch your life change in the blink of an eye. And know that as you do this inner work, you help your school, you help your human family, you help every animal, fish, and plant, and every aspect of God's creation here at this reality.
So lovely. Thank you so much for sharing that. And wow, there's so many questions that I could ask. It's an overwhelming idea to think of having, direct contact and to be able to ask any and everything. All right. Well, now seems like a good moment to take a minute to tell those of you who aren't familiar a bit about our sponsor, Gaia. I've been a big fan of Gaia for many years now, which is why they're the only content provider I've ever reached out to in regards to potentially supporting the Positive Head podcast. So needless to say, I'm very excited they're now supporting this show. Gaia truly is my personal go-to source for streaming consciousness content on the web. They have an incredible 7,000 plus exclusive videos covering 5,000 years of wisdom. Just to give you an example, you guys may remember when I interviewed multidimensional astral traveler Jason Quitt from episode 181. A lot of people really loved that episode, hearing his account of traveling to ancient Egypt in the astral plane, how he got schooled in the astral dimension, and a bunch of other fascinating accounts he based his book, Forbidden Knowledge, on. Well, he's appearing on the Gaia show Buzzsaw, which airs June 5th. So if you want to hear more from him, that's just one relative example. As you all hear me constantly say, it's a daily conscious effort to maintain an elevated vibration. And if you're looking to go deep down the rabbit hole to do so, then Gaia is the best place I know of to do it, period. And you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. Check it out. I suppose a good question to maybe shift to is to inquire a little bit about your university, and then if I have anything for the angels that pops up, perhaps I can ask at some point further in our conversation. But I would love to learn a little bit more about the Archangel University that you've set up.
Okay. Well, so the 12 Archangels University, it's, first of all, the material is channeled, but what the angels do is they have the students work with the Universal Weight Tarot cards, but it's not a tarot class, and they want to make this very clear. They work with images to help open the creative, intuitive, spiritual part of our brain that often goes sleepy, because we're so used to using that logical, rational ego, part of our consciousness. Right. But this is the part of our brain where we can really connect with the truth. We can connect with angels. We can connect with the ascended masters, our ancestors, our past lives. So they use these images because they are clean and they work with, again, to that hemisphere of the brain to awaken it, so that through using these images, things start to really open up. And it's been pretty amazing to watch what's happened with the students. So, for example, individuals that could not dream, or they could not visualize, they just could not, see themselves in walking through a purple door into the garden of their heart. They just couldn't do it because that part of the brain had been shut down, whether it was from past life programming or from being shut down, the creative imagination, which doesn't mean we're imagining. It's actually a doorway, it's a window into the spiritual realms, had been shut down in childhood. Well, the angels designed these classes, and they're all simple, they're fun, they're pretty amazing, but that part of the brain awakens. And so then there comes with that a discernment, so that the student can feel what the truth feels like, the truth at the highest vibration, and they can feel what the lie is, right? If there's any kind of even a feather in width that says, well, no, that's not quite the truth. And so it's an online class. I'm working on the 17th module. These are video classes, but we have once a month, and we have a conference call class where the angels, again, it's amazing what they do. They will start off with 2 or 3 cards and have the students walk into the scene of the card to unlock some power that's still held up within us. So that's in a nutshell.
Wow. And you had mentioned astrology, earlier, and how there's a correlation with the planets. So is that a piece of this teaching? Do you work the astrological side of things into any of the teachings?
So they do share a little bit of astrology. Astrology, as you may very well know, is a complex science and into itself. So they definitely share some components of astrology when it fits in. They just do an amazing way of connecting all things that are connected. And of course, they work with the colors of the chakras and how to use those energies, actually, as they call them, their power tools, right? For example, let's say that you're having difficulty receiving, you want to receive from source, you want to receive some abundance. Well, from the angel's perspective, receiving has to do with the feminine. The feminine receives, the masculine is the what gives, right, or puts out. So they'll have you work with that ruby flame and that beautiful ruby pink color. They say that's the healing vibration. Scarlet is fine, but it does bring up emotions, and so that you just fill up with that divine mother's love, and it makes it far more easier to receive from source. And then they'll weave that into working with the divine mother through the Empress or the Star card. So they definitely do this incredible integrative education through the university, but again, just working with lessons from the 12 Archangels, the book, it has an awful lot of, very useful, practical, life-changing tools in it as well.
Very, very fascinating. I have a question for you in regards to sort of the opposite of angels. I mean, you hear about dark forces, demonic entities, perhaps. Are these real entities from your perspective? And could you explain a little bit about their purpose?
So we human beings, we create with our thought, and we create when we have we have our thoughts, and we empower that with our emotion. And fear can be both a feeling as well as a thought. We can create all kinds of monsters and devils and dark entities, because we don't often remember how incredibly powerful we are. And we often do not remember the star systems that we originally, kind of were birthed from. So you put all that together in this school where you can create anything that you want to. And sure, you are going to, over millennia, you're going to create some pretty potentially fierce fallen angels, entities, devils, critters, whatever that's sure. So the whole thing is to understand that where there is fear or negativity, there's an opportunity for transformation. There's an opportunity to be that kind of childlike superhero and don your violet fire boots and put whatever creepy crawly negative, I call it shabungi, that's coming your way, put it in the colors of love. Just visualize putting whatever it is that you see or feel, put it in love. Or you can send whatever it is you're feeling, entities, devils, meanies. You just say, you know what? I remember that there's a law of this school that says that fear always wants to return to love. So with my heart, I gather you up and I send you back to the central sun, which is the heart of Mother, Father, God. So, and that works pretty well. So Brandon, in my experience and training with the angels, I've run into some pretty fierce and dark nasties out there, but they don't have to harm us in any way. They're just looking for love. That's the way that the angels
they're cut off from love, right?
Absolutely. They're not actually cut off from love, but they think that, right? They're thought forms, so we just have to reconnect them.
Beautiful, beautiful. So you mentioned star systems that we're sort of originate from. Can you expand on that idea, on that concept?
Well, it's a school. This is the way the 12 archangels explain it. They say, look, you're in school. Were you born in your elementary school? We think not. Right? You were probably born in a hospital or at home with a midwife. So, but you weren't born in your elementary school or your preschool. So if you can remember, this is a school. So yes, of course, your soul's, when we talk about the collective, you come from all over God's universe. And you choose to come here, they say. You choose to come here to experience what it's like to feel the illusion of being separate from love, so that you can reconnect, right? So that you can really learn to value, wow, money can't buy me love, but love sure is the most incredible, wonderful force that there is. And love can attract in money if that's what you need. So we get to learn all sorts of pretty valuable lessons here, but we're not from here.
So how does the idea of extraterrestrial entities or the extraterrestrial phenomenon, how is that related? What have they shown you anything pertaining to these beings?
So what the angels say is that there are vast numbers of loving celestial beings, galactic beings, light beings, whatever you want to call beings from everywhere else in the universe. They come here to help us. They are always benevolent. They only work with the vibration of love. They are never negative, because that's part of Schoolroom Earth. So they're not the real the real true entities or extraterrestrials, there are helpers, and they stay at that vibration of heaven so that they really can help us. So in the beginning, when Schoolroom Earth was created, sure, we had beings come from other parts of the great cosmos to set up this school, and they got lost in fear. They got a bit stuck in it. So that's why sometimes the star system or that star system is accused of being in battle with Earth. That's an old story. That's not really the highest level of truth. If you really understand the purpose of the school, the angels say, then you will allow all of the loving beings and creations that exist to help us move through this school, to help us. But again, if it feels like there's fear there, then there probably is. And send whatever that negative or dark or confusing energy, put it in the love light.
Right. Yeah, that's such a powerful tool for people to understand, I believe, what you shared, because navigating all of this stuff as it sort of opens up for people, and people have different types of experiences. We certainly didn't get a handbook in school and on how to deal with this stuff. And if you can understand that you have the power to sort of bring light to any and all things, it seems to be a very empowering concept.
Well, and it's the truth. And the angels really want to thank you, that this is also your personal passion, and that this is what the message that you're helping to share. And they are very grateful to you.
Well, it's certainly a pleasure and an honor to sort of teach best what I need to learn as well, and to share the experience with others as I go through it myself. And it's certainly the most empowering experience that I've had. So I feel strongly that we're going to find our true passion is always going to involve giving and serving in some way, because there are no others. I'm sure you'd agree, right?
I absolutely do agree. And that's how we get to really experience love viscerally, right? In that kind of depth of our human beingness. The angels say that, hey, connecting and understanding your divinity, that's one thing. But to really bring that divinity and integrate it fully in your humanity, that part of you that really was designed to really buy into fear so that you could experience it. Well, that's what it's really about, is to bring that love again into all those places where it's missing, so that you can lift up and rise up, and then change things for the better for all concerned.
Beautiful. Now, you've referred to Earth multiple times as a school. So my question that comes to mind is, as we get better at sort of test taking, if you will, and what's beyond the school? We hear the idea of ascension or graduation. Is there what do the angels say about sort of coming here, experiencing the fear, then learning to overcome the fear? And do they give you any sort of indication of what we're led to once we've achieved that?
So what they say to that, Brandon, is yes, of course you graduate. But at this time, those of you who have graduated have returned to help everybody else. And because it's all about oneness, we evolve together as the whole universe. We are never separated from the Creator. So we are doing this evolution here through beautiful Schoolroom Earth to help the Creator to evolve in consciousness. So we are all a part of this. So even when we're not here at Schoolroom Earth, we're always connected through oneness to supporting this school. And they just want to mention that there are quite a number of people that believe that there will be some kind of separation, where the good people will go to the light and the bad people will go to some other place. And they say it just doesn't work that way. It's all about oneness. That would be like cutting off your little finger, if you can think of as the human body as part of the divine body or of the Creator's body. The Creator is not going to cut off the Creator's pinky and say, "Well, I don't need that." And so that's just not how it works. We will continue to sign up for teacher duty. That's what they say you have done. You will continue to because of your heart is so big that Brandon, when they check on your heart and your soul, they say that, you've graduated a few times, but here you are back. You are back to go through the lessons again. But the lessons have been faster for you, and that you, as you learn, you teach, and that is your mission. So again, yes, there is graduation. The word ascension means freedom. And they say, look, you can ascend right here on the earth. You can break free of fear. Befriend it. And stop making it your enemy. Stop running from it. Love it. Transform it. It's only a part of you that feels lost.
Yeah, that's such a beautiful, empowering, powerful lesson to, once again, I mean, we've touched on this multiple times and seems to be a theme, taking that fear, you've probably heard it said before, forget everything and run, or face everything and rise. And it seems to be their message is face it and rise, bring love to it, and it transforms it.
Absolutely. Yep.
So empowering and powerful. And I would like to switch gears just a little bit and get a fun story from you. I always love to ask stories of synchronicity or serendipity or positive paranormal stories, and I'm sure you've got plenty up your sleeve with the fascinating life that you live. What is there a good story that comes to mind that you'd like to share?
Well, Brandon, so I did think about this, and, I've had a lot of experiences with angels, but I want to just share my most recent experience. And this is that I had a few friends, like on the same day, just, needing karmic cords cut. And it's like, well, hasn't that been done? And I just want to say briefly, all a karmic cord is it's just, it's symbolic for a negative energy that is holding a person or self down. It's sort of like being, like you're the boat and you're tied to the dock and you don't want to be tied up anymore. You want to be free. So, I was just like, well, but haven't we done this? And so, I all of a sudden I see in my mind's eye a car wash. I'm like, a car wash? What? Why am I seeing a car wash in my third eye? And then I see the 12 archangels smiling and laughing, and they're showing me going through a sapphire blue car wash. So sapphire blue is Archangel Michael's energy, his sword of truth and justice, right? It's made out of the sapphire flame, which is the same energy as our will chakra or our throat chakra. So here I am, I'm seeing myself whirling around in the big brush that you see in a car wash, but it's all sapphire blue lasers, and it's going over my head and under my feet and all the way around me. And I was like, oh, I get it. Wow, look at this. The angels have given us a really fun way to really clear karma fast and to cut ourselves free, to liberate ourselves, to help ourselves lift up and out of these old stories of pain and suffering. So that's been my delight lately, is seeing my friends, my loved ones, and asking for this just to spread out. I just see us going through the car wash, right, and just having all of that cleared. So, you might want to try it. It's pretty cool. So that's my story.
Using that as a visualization technique of sorts. Right.
But it really does work. And it's not only does it work, but it feels good. It makes you laugh. And so what I feel the synchronicity of this is, hey, this is the moment that our mentors and faculty of our school are saying, it doesn't have to be complicated. You don't have to be weighed down by your stuff anymore, but you do need to be conscious of it enough to realize that you want to experience something better.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. What a great technique. And I think you make a great point, or the angels make a great point, bringing humor and fun and lightness to any of these sort of what otherwise can be heavy topics, right? Clearing karma, it feels so heavy and daunting, and it almost induces a sense of fear, right? When you think of, I've got karma to clear, I'm instantly like, what have I done? What did I do 10 lifetimes ago that I don't remember, And so I think it's a wonderful way to make it fun. I mean, then you imagine going through a car wash and how comical it would be to be getting hit with all these giant brushes and covered in suds, right? It instantly brings a lightness to the situation.
Well, and that's what they are all about, right? Is to lighten us up and to help us to remember, hey, you're God's divine children, giggle a little. Learn to play.
Right.
If you don't know how to play, that's okay. Ask Divine Source to fill you with play, to fill you with joy and delight. They say, don't try to make yourselves have something that you don't have. If your ego doesn't know how to love itself, then don't beat yourself up that you don't know how to take care of yourself. Ask to be filled by Divine Source with nurturing and caring for yourself. And then you will just wake up knowing every day what that looks like, what that feels like, to respect your being to a greater degree.
Lovely. Well, I have a question for you. Would you say that there is a quickening of sorts happening, a speeding up or spiritual revolution? Many people feel like we've entered a phase where, there's so much more spiritual energy flooding in. And, could you speak to that idea?
So what the 12 archangels say is, we give you a delightfully joyful yes. Yes, there is a speeding up because there is a deep purging of the old fear that you haven't known about, that you haven't been able to reach. The old belief systems that have created oppression, separation, bigotry, warring, control, suffering, disease, all of that is being lifted up to the light and sound of divine love so that it can be transformed. So it's only going to get faster. So, keep your sneakers on your feet.
Be prepared because the train is moving, huh? Lovely. Well, Belinda, this has been such a wonderful experience communicating with you and the angels. And, just your voice, just your energy alone is so calming and peaceful and relaxing. You can just feel all the goodness sort of oozing out of you. And it's so wonderful to be able to connect and share. I appreciate you so much for taking the time to do so. Speaking of connecting and continuing to connect, what is the best way for folks who are interested in following your work or getting involved with your university? What's the best place to find you and connect?
just to come to my website, and that's my name, BelindaWomack.com.
Okay. Beautiful, beautiful. Well, I guess, one last question. Well, actually, I have two. One is there anything else that the angels would care to share, or that you would care to share with the listeners that you feel inspired to get out there?
One of the easiest ways to feel truth in your bones so that you know what is not only your truth, you know how to say yes, you know how to say no, is to hold the intention to connect with the child that lives within you. This is the part of self. It's actually a part of your brain that it's called your heart, actually, that will always send you down a clear road so that you can connect with your own angels and guides and loved ones, and to just know truly what you feel. And that's the second thing, is feel your feelings. If you really want to transform, if you want to heal, feel your feelings. Just take that moment to say, what is it I'm feeling? Don't judge it. Just listen. That lifts you up so fast. It's like a rocket that shifts your vibration out of fear and into love, to ask that simple question. But what is it that I'm feeling?
Very beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. My last question for you. In 60 seconds or less, what is the meaning of life according to Belinda Womack?
Well, the meaning of life is to bring love where love is missing, to bring fear into oneness, to shift the vibration so that all you have is love.
You are indeed lovely, Belinda. Thank you so, so much for taking the time to share and connect and to get your message out and to get the angels' message out to the world. It is very needed and very appreciated. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, too, and for all you do.
It's a pleasure. Well, everyone, that concludes this week's interview episode. If you have enjoyed this positive download from our hearts and minds to yours, please take a minute, give us a rating or review on iTunes. Since iTunes is the holy grail of all things podcasting, your good reviews help us to reach more listeners. Also, we would be extremely appreciative if you would tell your friends and family about the show. Our sincere intent with the Positive Head podcast is to spread positivity to the world, because we're selfish, quite honestly. I say that jokingly, but really only halfway joking. I'm referring to the good kind of selfish, based on the knowing that we all get what we give in this life, because when we give, we're actually always giving to extensions of self, since we're all really one in the same consciousness, just in different bodies. So if you want to be a good selfish along with us by helping to spread the positivity, by all means, please proceed to shout about the Positive Head podcast from your rooftop. Otherwise, as you continue on your fabulous journey in this 3D reality, be sure to remember this. As long as you ain't dead, you're already positive ahead. Journey well, everyone, and thank you for being.